Welcome in Game-Brewery, podcast about retro games and retro game developers. And today I'm here with Joel. Tell me something about you. Who are you?
Okay, so I'm from England, near Manchester. I've not been making games for long. I think like quite a few people, I started in the pandemic, picked up GB Studio, and sort of haven't looked back since. I'm not doing it full time. I've got a full time job, and I'm sort of fitting it in evenings, weekends, whenever I can, really.
And what brings you into developing games? If you have a normal job, this is just a hobby.
Yeah, so I've always loved the Game Boy. I hadn't really made any games aside from in the late 90s I played around with, I'm not sure if you've heard of Click and Play and Games Factory. They were
No.
PC-based game makers. I made a few terrible games in that, and I never finished anything. And then I sort of forgot about it because I work as a designer and figured I'm probably not going to make a game. So I'd noticed Game Boy Studio had come out, but it was back when it was just walk around and talk to people. And really, my memories of the Game Boy were platformers like Kirby, so I sort of didn't really do anything about it. And then version 2 came out, which had basic platformer support, and I thought, right, this is a good time to get started on it.
And so you used to work as a designer, or now you are?
Yeah, I still do. I've been working as a designer for coming up to 20 years now, so I do dabble in a little bit of sort of development, but very light. So GB Studio really appealed to me, the fact that it was visual editing and it didn't seem like you needed to dig into the code too much. Even though, funnily enough, the more time I've spent in it, I'm probably enjoying the development side of it more, and that sort of sucked me in.
And are some games which inspire you, influence your work from the designing perspective?
So, for Tales of Monsterland, that one's quite clear in its inspirations. The Kirby, Wonder Boy. I had a Sega Master System growing up, and I always thought it'd be cool if a Wonder Boy game was out on the Game Boy. Fall from Space is more influenced by RPGs, so I was never that into JRPGs really. I quite liked CRPGs, Fallout, Planescape Torment, that sort of game. And I really, while I was making Tales of Monsterland, at the back of my mind, it's like I'd love to get stuck into something that was a bit more non-linear, a bit unlike games I've seen on the Game Boy. So that was definitely influenced by PC RPGs, as well as being a platform game.
Yeah, so the Tales of Monsterland is your first game. I'm saying it right?
Yes. Yeah, first game, it was actually my first Game Boy Studio project. So I just sort of started in the middle, then grew outwards with a bit of a story, and I kept it quite short because, like I said, I was a big fan of Kirby for the Game Boy, and when I went on family holidays, I'd often be able to complete that in one sitting. And I like that sort of quite charming world that's relaxing to be in. Yeah, so also I thought, with it being a first project, I need to be able to finish this game. I need to have an end point. So I kept it fairly simple.
And you also release it on a physical cartridge?
Yes, that was a big deal because I collect Game Boy games myself. So when I started off making Tales of Monsterland, I didn't really think other people would be playing it. I thought I'd be able to persuade. I've got a couple of friends who collect Game Boy games. I thought I could push them into playing it. But really, I just wanted to have a cartridge, put it in my kind of collection, and then in 10 years, dig it out and play it. So, yeah, I was really happy when it turns out people wanted to publish it and people wanted to play it. It's just amazing.
And so you found a publisher, not like me. I
Oh,
contact
you do it
some.
all yourself, don't you? That's...
Yeah, yeah. I guess I'm going with the hard way.
Yeah, how are you finding that? Because I didn't want to deal with the posting out and going to kind of like printers and all that.
Yeah, for me, the first game, the first like pre-order, what I did, it was very very difficult. I lost a lot of money on it because I did
Right.
a lot of mistakes, mainly
Was
with
that with
shipping.
printing?
Yeah, no, I have a printer quite close in a close, very close city, and manuals and a poster, and now even the boxes I could print there. But boxes I'm printing in one company in Italy. So these things were very very easy, but find the cartridges, proper cartridges, was much
Yeah.
harder.
So what was that? AliExpress trying to find the right ones to flash.
Yeah. I was on AliExpress. I was messaging everyone who just have something with Pokemons or Game Boy or Nintendo, and trying to get the contacts to the factories in China because I had very I wanted to have it with the battery, the removable battery, and without any trademarks. So I'm clear to
Hmm.
sell it and everything. And that turns out like quite hard thing. And then shipping, which was even worse. So,
Yeah, and are you going to do the same with Lufgears then? Are you going to do it yourself now you've got experience with it, or are you thinking a bit too much hassle?
well, I don't know. I That's one point because you released the Tales of Monsterland with the mod retro on Chromatic on the new console, which is like
Yeah,
not copy but like basically Game Boy type console, which can play the cartridges from the Game Boy.
yeah, yeah. It's really nice piece of hardware.
Yeah, and I also contact them, but it was before the Christmas, so no one had the time. So I would like to ask you, how did you manage to find someone who's going to release your game?
So, I mean, originally with the first release of Tales from Monsterland, that was just me sending out a couple emails because I was going to do it myself on Etsy. I'd got a flasher, I'd got some AliExpress carts, but like it's a load of hassle thinking, would I be able to get more of these? Are they going to be the same type? Am I going to be able to flash them? And I didn't like the idea of dealing with all the postage, so I sent a couple emails out. I wasn't really expecting to hear back, so I did. I think it was good timing when I sent it out. So that was the first Tales of Monsterland, and then for the color version, that was actually Chris got in touch with me. It was around about Christmas of what year was it? Not this Christmas, the Christmas before, asking if I had any games for I signed an NDA for the launch of this new console, and Fall from Space wasn't going to be ready. I mean, that was maybe about 40% done at that point, and I'd wanted to revisit Tales of Monsterland to fix all the bugs I'd left in because I didn't know what I was doing, and also I quite like the idea of making it better, trying to get an original soundtrack because the first time it was mainly community assets. Trying color, I hadn't really played with color much at that point, so I think it was just good luck that I had a game that was more or less ready for this because there was a definite launch point they needed to be ready by that I could turn around fairly quickly. Yeah, so that's how that came about. And Ball from Space, I'll probably do the same. See if anyone's interested. If if you don't, I don't know how busy Mod Retro are with the release schedule, but there's quite a lot of people in the space, aren't they, who might be able to help you out with it.
I didn't found much people. For example, I found in the UK only one company. I know about two companies, I think. Plus now, since they released the Chromatic, I know about Mod Retro, which I didn't know they planned something like this, of course.
Yeah, well, they've sort of come out of nowhere, haven't they?
Yeah. So I I'm not even trying to contact no one. I don't know. Let's see in the future. Now I kind of starting the Kickstarter. Today I hit the cap, or how to say in English, of the Game Boy Studio. I cannot make it bigger, the game, which is
you
very
hit 4 meg.
disappointing. It's very disappointing because this is supposed to be my second big project, and I need to do a lot of editing now. But
So, is it the file size that you've hit the cap of?
yeah, it doesn't want to compile, but because I have the Luftgears is going to be like I don't know how it's called, the game, the Far Lone Sails on the computer. It's a very beautiful game about just basically traveling in your Steam machine, and you are taking care about the machine. And I wanted to combine it with the FTL, which is like space roguelike.
I was going to ask if it was influenced by FTL, because I'm a big fan of FTL, and yeah, I was getting some of those vibes. Is it a bit roguelike?
Yeah, it's like FTL from the universe of the Far Lone Sails. Like, this is
Right.
how I'm going to say it. I wanted the player to be really like in a charge of the ship, and really press the buttons, go to the place where is the machine, to use the machine, instead of clicking the menus and stuff like this. And on the computer, the game, the Far Lone Sails, is very beautiful because it's a very beautiful soundtrack, very beautiful environment. It's like very calm game. So I wanted to try to do something like this. Instead of traveling on the ground, I made, for example, a lot of different planets, what player can, like icons of planets, what player can visit and stuff, but it doesn't fit. So, and I don't even have I want to do the more languages into the game. I want to do the manual, like tutorial in the game, and I need to do the sounds and the soundtrack into the game. So
is it 4 meg that the limit you're looking at, or is it 2?
2. I have.
Right.
I
If
don't
you
have.
could open up.
Yeah, I don't have a current GB Studio, so I don't know how it is. I have, I think, some second version or.
Oh, right. I mean, it might be too late for you to upgrade, but I'd really recommend upgrading if you can.
Yeah.
And if I managed to bring Tales of Monsterland from version 2.5 to 3, it was a bit of a struggle, but I think you should still have the limit of 4 meg, though. I think you could have 4.
I don't know. Maybe I need to look at it because it happened yesterday, and since then I'm a little bit down from it.
Yeah, I bet.
And I think I try to export it into the newer, but I have a lot of things what is happening in because basically almost everything is happening on one screen. Now I chop it into the 2, like normal one and the battle one, and a lot of things is happening there. A lot of things is showing there and everything. So when I port it to the newer version, it starts running even worse than it's running now. So
right, is that on DMG original Game Boy?
Yes. In this game, I don't want to do the color palettes like I did last time, and I think it's going to be nicer to keep the vibe of the Game Boy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that palette as well. If you get any console errors converting it, send them across to me. I could have a look, because I had a bit of a struggle with Tales of Monsterland bringing that to version 3. So it might be something I've encountered.
Yeah, I don't think. Anyway, now is the point of me finishing it, so I'm not even going to try it. I don't want to destroy it.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Anyway, you mentioned the Fall from Space, and I saw your webpage, and there is a release date, 2021, all the way to 2025.
Yeah, so 2021 was when I started it. 2025 was sort of maybe it'd be ready then. I did take around 6 months out of development to sort out Tales of Monsterland Colour version, which actually I don't know if you saw my blog on variables in Game Boy Studio. We actually uncovered some issues that I would have run into otherwise. I was going to run out of variables. So I think it'll be a better game for it. But as for when it's going to be finished, maybe at the end of this year. You know what it's like. It's hard to call. I'm not at 80% yet, but I'm definitely in the final third, and I'm going to run into the issue. You've got a file space. It's definitely going to be a 4 meg game, but I'm on. I can have a look now. Actually, I'm on 2.83 meg, so I know that the limit's coming up, and I don't want to leave it right up until the limit in case I need to add things in. So maybe the end of the year, maybe early next year. We'll see.
And about what is the game? Because I saw first game from you. It was this Fall from Space, and
so it's an RPG really. It's probably more RPG than platformer. It's a very much a non-linear game. Inspired by, I don't know if you've heard of a Mega Drive game called Buck Rogers and the Doomsday Device. It's quite obscure. It had a moment in it where it was like the first sort of proper RPG I played, where you get in a ship, you're in the solar system, and all of a sudden you can just go anywhere. And it just blew my mind, the fact that you could go to one planet, you could go to a different one, you could start quests in different orders. So I really wanted to have that experience on the Game Boy. I think something we're both sort of going for in our games, really. So that I've been working on for, since 2021. It's quite ambitious for, certainly for me as a developer, and I think it's fairly ambitious for the Game Boy. So, it's going well. The development's going well. Occasionally run into some issues. At the moment, it's just working out if I can fit it within 4 meg. So what content? I've got huge lists of things that I'm probably going to have to start making difficult decisions now and going, that's not going to go into it. But it's going well. It's quite a few different game modes. It's platformer, it's RPG, it's I think if anyone wanted to check out the demo on itch, love any feedback for that.
And you are doing it alone, even graphics, because that's the things what the graphics what you are it's something what I really it just pops out on I don't know where I saw it first time on Instagram or itch. It's just very different feel, very high quality.
Oh, thanks. I only started with pixel art with Tales of Monsterland, so I think because I don't really know what I'm doing, it's giving it a bit of a different look. Like I started off trying to make it isometric like Fallout, and quickly ran into tile limits because the Game Boy doesn't like those sort of lines. I'm doing it all myself, apart from the music, because I wouldn't know where to start with music. So BeatScribe's doing the soundtrack for that, and it's really good what he's been doing. What about yourself? Do you do all the graphics as well as the development?
Yes, I do. Also, except of the music, I'm doing also everything alone. For this Luftgears, what I hire one guy. I'm not sure if even people outside from Czech Republic gonna know it. We have a game, very very old game in Czech Republic. It's called Bulánci, and it's about pillows with the weapons, and you are just going in a very small map and you are shooting other pillows, and it's for more players on one screen. And not long time ago they released a new version, and I managed to snatch one guy who was doing graphics for it. And if people saw the cover for the box for my new game, the Luftgears, I think it's very professionally done, and I really love it because this is something what I was dreaming of, something like this, and me alone, I couldn't do nothing like this, never ever.
It makes such a big difference because I didn't do the art for Tales of Monsterland DX because I'm not an illustrator really. And I think for Fall from Space, the current cover's just me doodling on an iPad, but I'm definitely looking at getting someone to do something professional because I noticed with Tales of Monsterland just how much better it looks when you've got some art, like you said, like how you imagined it, and especially with our games looking simple because they're Game Boy games. I love on old games how you just sort of, your imagination would fill in the blanks when you saw this kind of amazing kind of sci-fi art. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm going to outsource as well. I know my limitations.
Yeah, but I think the Fall from Space is really something on the graphical side is something very, very special, because if you look at the original Game Boy game, like for the original Game Boy, the graphics was horrible. Like they had limitation, yes, but today people, what like hobby people, what are they doing? It's incredible. Like you cannot compare it.
Yeah, I think some of the games did look a bit rough. I remember trying Bill and Ted. I don't know if you played that on the Game Boy, and some of the graphics on that are great. The game's amazing, but it has dated, and definitely with these new games coming out, I don't know if you've seen like the Fallen Crown. That springs to mind. That just looks amazing. I'd love to be able to do pixel art like that.
Yeah, some of them are.
Some of Ben Jelter's games, Gumpy Function, I think definitely got a long way to go where I can improve on my pixel art.
Yes.
I've noticed like current levels I'm working on at the moment, when I go back to 2021, there's sort of a mismatch. So I've got a little bit better since then. I don't know if you found that in games, as you kind of getting to completion, you look back and so I might have to go give that a once over.
Just last week I was searching my phone or somewhere, and I found like 3 or 4 years old file for the sticker for the cartridge. And I was thinking about the horrible thing when I compare it with even like people now, when I have the loot gears, I'm trying to make it like a feeling of the like Diesel Punk and like Metal Slug, the game, kind of like this Diesel Punk and stuff. And even few people wrote me like, yeah, it looks very nice. So I was very surprised about it.
Yeah, no, I love the main character as well, the way he moves. And I noticed your videos, I don't know if you come from a marketing background, because like the promotional stuff you've done, like the toilet paper for your 2031, thought that was really good. And the videos, did you dress up in one of the videos?
I don't know which one. Which one do you mean?
I'm sure there's one like this. There's someone
yeah,
dressed.
you mean the trailer? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like really good. I've not seen stuff like that in like our kind of like homebrew indie scenes, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I wanted the year 2031 is like post-apocalyptic game, and I wanted to have like real serious like game, but little bit of jokes, like something that just hits you into the face like toilet paper, when the game used to be called Corona the Game, but it was too early after the pandemic, and the social media were like giving me bans and hiding me and shadow banning my post because they said it's like fake news and stuff like this. So I needed to rename it, but I was sitting in front of the TV, and in the newspapers they were saying like, yeah, and the toilet paper is sold out again. So
yeah, there were people filling up the trolleys over here. There was talk of shortages of toilet paper. It was a big deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it must be like this, no? In post-apocalyptic
So we initially got speaking because we were both making post-apocalyptic games, weren't we? It's like Fall from Space is quite post-apocalyptic, and year 2031. Are you into the genre yourself? Do you quite like post-apocalyptic things?
Well, it's actually my second game. First one was more like I call it a vlog, because we were traveling and I wanted to make a vlog with video, but I don't know how to speak into the camera. So I wanted to make a blog and write something, but I don't know how to write. So I decided to make a game with the Game Boy Studio, which was very new in that moment. And this was the second game, the year 2031, and I just finished the first game and I didn't know what to do. There was a pandemic, and it was the time that I left the job really like 1 week or 14 days before it started everything here in Europe. So I really had like a lot of time, nothing to do. So I started with this. So
yeah, it's really cool. I played the demo early on, and definitely the kind of game I like.
Yeah, the graphics is not the best. The music, people hate the music a lot, like the environmental sounds. I wanted to be a little bit special. So I think I overdid it a little bit, so people hate it now. I learned my lesson.
I think that graphically, I didn't think it was bad graphically at all. It looked like there's top-down Game Boy RPGs, so it looked like that. There's only so much you can do really with the art style, and when you got a 16 by 16 pixel character.
Yeah, for example, in the new game in the Loot Gears, I tried the game not look like it's in the grid. I wanted to get out from the 16 by 16, 8 by 8 grid. And for example, the main character is more than 16 pixels, but I think 18 or 19 pixels tall. And I think it's when something like this happens, I think it's very noticeable, or how to say, because you are in a Game Boy, you are used to something else. So I hope people are gonna appreciate it.
Yeah, I've definitely not seen a game in that style on the Game Boy, and that's what interests me now, really, games that don't exist in some form on the Game Boy already.
And do you have some other projects?
Well, I've got a really long list of ideas that I'll keep putting out ideas for games down, and it doesn't help when you're stuck on one project for multiple years, but I've narrowed it down to 2 I'd really like to make next that are quite different than what I've done before, but yeah, I've not really done anything on them yet because it's finished Fall from Space off, trying not to have too many distractions and just get this one done. What about yourself? Do you know what you're going to be doing afterwards?
Well, now I'm like in a life situation, or how to call it, that I can work on the games like this for next at least 1.5 years. So I hope I'm gonna do another year 2031 before the story of the father, which I want to do more like crafting and more like Diablo style game, like fighting.
Okay, so like action RPG.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like much early after the pandemic on the post-apocalyptic, so there's going to be more violence and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I would like to focus on the Loot Gears like universe, because I think I started with the lore for the game, like with the universe and the rules of the universe and stuff. So I would like to continue with it and release the games like Loot Gears.
Like different styles within the Loot Gear universe, or similar roguelike?
Like different, for example, the Loot Gears is about the like elite pilot from the Great War, which happened before he left to the space to search for the signal. So I would like to do the games from the war, for example, the infantry, or I was even thinking about the board game, like very like military strategic board game from this. And so let's see. I have 1.5 years to do stuff like this, and then decide if it's worth it to continue or not. So let's see.
So you're full time at the moment, then are you kind of giving this a go for 1.5 years full time?
Yes, I'm. Yeah, since I basically released the year 2031, it's already 1.5 years or 2 years. I'm kind of full time, and let's see. Yeah, let's see.
And are you getting commissioning music for Luftgears?
I already have like a menu music. People can, I think people on each can see it in the alpha version or hear it.
Right.
And this is again like I am saying I learned, but maybe no. I again want to do something special, and I don't want to put like the Game Boy beeps sounds. I would like to try to put like actual sounds into the game. And I don't know how it's going to work yet. If it's going to be like fluid and, if it's going to sound good, but let's see.
But like WAV files or music
yes.
that's designed to sound like real.
Yes, but the problem is that I cannot play, for example, over them. If how to explain it? If you have 4 channels, usually for the music you have, let's say 3-4 channels, and for the things like sounds of, I don't know, hitting some weapons or something, you have the rest of the channels. So I'm not going to have this option, so I don't know how to do it. So let's see.
Yeah, that was the one area where I thought I just need to. I don't have time to learn this as well as because there's so much to do in finishing a game. But a lot of respect for people who can do it all, who can do the graphics, the development, the music, and I just had to kind of say no. I'm not going to try this.
Yeah, it takes too long. So, do you have some advice for someone who would like to start with the making games with the Game Boy Studio or Game Boy games?
Yeah, well, starting a game, I'd say download GB Studio because it's, well, as you know, it's so easy to get started, isn't it? But then you've got the power to really expand it. And I guess start with something realistically sized. I know it's said a lot, don't start with your dream game, but I think only don't start with your dream game unless you're willing to work on the same thing for across years, which I don't know if everyone is. But you know yourself, don't you? And join the GB Studio Discord, because I wouldn't have had a single game released if it wasn't for the people in there just constantly going in, pestering them, because I just couldn't get things working. And as a solo dev, it can just be awful, kind of, when you think, right, this is it, my game's finished, I can't continue, this bug's game breaking, and then I'd go in there and there's people just so generous with their time, they'll help you kind of fix any problem you've got. And a lot of the people there work on actual GB studios themselves, and so yeah, get GB Studio, go in the Discord if you're stuck. The subreddit's pretty good as well, and yeah.
And what makes you to finish the games when you have it like a hobby? Is there something like you just work on it and one day you finish it, or?
Well, I know with Tales of Monsterland, I knew how it was going to end and start, and I just sort of filled it out a little bit from the middle. Fall from Space, it's a bit more ambitious in terms of the story. I've got really into the lore and world building, and I don't know if people find it good because I'm not a writer, but I know the end point of the game. I always knew where the demo was going to end when you got into space and you got your ship. So I'm going to need to finish the final scenes, so I've got a path from the start to the end. Then I'm going to see how close I am to 4 meg, and I'm just going to go through my to-do list and go, okay, that was cool, I wanted to add that here, I want to add this thing you can visit here, and just fill it up until I get to 4 meg. I don't think I'd be able to make a game if there was an 8 meg limit. I think I definitely need those limits to kind of rein me in a little bit.
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have them, because I think I'm gonna need to cut from the game the things that I really wanted to keep there. So let's see.
Yeah, and I guess with the next game you'll probably start in GB Studio 4 or.
Yeah, I would like to try. Yeah. Now for example, now about starting new game. Um, I decided I'm gonna do it completely different. I'm gonna do just game mechanics. I'm gonna post them somewhere on internet. Let people to tell me anything what they want. I'm gonna update them or something, change them how people want them, and like this, because I always start the game, I get too far, and then when people doesn't like something, it's very hard to change it. So
Yeah.
how do you start the games?
Um, Lots of notes and reminders and to-do lists set up. I think I've probably the same. I've not let people fall from space. It was quite a while before I put a demo out and started getting feedback. Tales from Monsterland I was a little bit better at, and the amount of things that came up from just other people trying it, like why not have continues, and just hadn't even thought of having continues. And judging difficulty, I think it's almost impossible to judge difficulty. I thought the game was easy because I was flying through it like a developer. Then people were finding they couldn't get past the first few jumps. So yeah, definitely the sooner you can get other people playing it, because I think it's one of the hardest things as a solo developer, really, just getting people to try your game and checking
Yeah.
you've not come up with any weird assumptions.
Yeah, that's the hard when you are playing it as a developer. You know exactly where to go, how to go. I learned it.
Oh,
I learned it a lot with the year 2031, which is I have main story and a lot of side quests, and sometimes it's clashing together. So I need to check a lot of things, and then I know what to do. I just go where I supposed to go. But people usually go somewhere else, discover something, talk here with someone, continue this line of the quest instead of this one, and they were breaking my games from the beginning a lot.
oh, they will. One thing I learned Tales of Monsterland DX with Mod Retro, the QA testing was amazing. Never had anything like it before, and there was one guy in particular, Mr. Blinky, who he just find new ways to break it that I didn't think were possible. But also, what was interesting was he was finding things that I thought there were no bugs left in the game, or none that I'd found. And he'd find something, it's like, yeah, I knew about that. He'd find something else, I knew about that. And it was basically, as a dev, I'd learned to avoid things that were causing problems subconsciously, like, oh, maybe don't roll and then jump because that'll cause a glitch. And you just, as you're playing it, you try and avoid doing things that are going to, without knowing it. So, yeah, it's a challenge getting people to play your game, I find, but it's the most important thing, really.
Yeah, I heard in Valve, when they were making Portal, they were testing the copy of the Portal every week, every Friday. They just put, I don't know how much, 50, 100 people to play it every week, and this is how they develop like super clean game, which is super fun. It's very interesting. I don't have 50 to 100 people to test my game every Friday.
No, I think Chris from Spacebot said to me something that stuck with me, which is you're never going to, because I didn't want to hand over the final file for Tales of Monsterland DX, because like, oh, what if there's a problem? It's going to be flash to cart forever. But he said that even not Mario Kart, Super Mario Brothers, they're still finding bugs in that. Like 40 years after it came out, you'll never release a game without any bugs. You've just got to make sure if people can get to the end, and it's a fairly smooth experience, that's good. But you'll never get all the bugs out of there because someone's just going to try something weird that you've never thought of trying.
And what do you think, like generally about the retro games? Like, do they have a future? Because few years back, or I don't know, 2 years back, was released the analog, another console as a Game Boy. This before Christmas last year was released the chromatic, and people are really interested about this. What do you think? How it's going to be in the future?
Yeah, at first I wasn't sure. Is this just something for people who remember it from when they were younger, just nostalgics? But it does seem that new people, like younger people who didn't grow up with the Game Boy or these consoles, are enjoying the games. obviously, yeah, there's Analog Pocket, Chromatic. There's new devices coming out that get rid of some of the pain points of like playing on an unlit screen. But I think it does seem to be expanding through more than just people who remember it. And I guess because it's a bit refreshing compared to new games that need subscriptions, battle passes, loot boxes, all that. It's just simple, charming games. Yeah, so I'm optimistic. I don't know if it'll. I think it'll still be fairly niche. I can't see it going completely mainstream, but it's nice having new people interested and might want to play our games. That's only a good thing.
Yeah, it's a very good thing for us.
Do you
At
think
least.
the scene will kind of grow more? And it's already grown quite a bit, hasn't it? Since you've been using GB Studio for quite a while.
It looks like it's growing. The I have a theory. I don't know if people first if people really likes it, and a lot of like on the internet you can read a lot. Like people are now starting to prefer play old games for the PlayStations and Game Boys and stuff. But I don't know if it's maybe only the nostalgic era of basically us people who grow up on it, and now we are grow up persons and we have a jobs and money to spend them for something like this. Maybe in
Making
10
up for
years.
all those toys we couldn't get when we were younger.
Yeah,
And now we've got salaries we can pick up off eBay.
yeah. So maybe in 10 years, for sure, I think our kids, or for sure, I don't know, but I think our kids are not going to feel about games like this. They're gonna grow up with the Fortnite and they're gonna play Fortnite or something like this. So I don't know if it's just the era of this nostalgia, or people really likes the games because, how you said, they are much more like gaming, like pure gaming, not like today new games like all the microtransactions and battle passes and stuff like this. So I don't know. One of these things is going to be for sure.
Well, I think the popularity of indie games shows that, often with quite simple graphics, shows that people aren't just interested in the kind of the cutting edge graphics. Because I don't know if you've heard a game called Caves of Cud. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've been playing that a lot recently. In fact, I'm having to rein it in because I need to get Fall from Space finished, and this game's just a time sink. But that looks like it could have come out on the Spectrum, but it came out this year. And
Maybe I think I saw it. It's like RPG game, no? Like
yeah, it's like a roguelike. In fact,
yeah,
you like FTL. FTL is one of the games I've sunk the most time into, and Caves of Cud. They worked on it for 15 years, I think. It seems really simple, but there's so many systems at play, and it's really good. But yeah, don't get it if you've got a lot of work to get done. I'm going to have to put it to the side now and try and get some more Fall from Space done. Time flies when you're playing it, but it's really good. It's the best game I've played this year.
yeah, I have it in my wish list. Now when you're talking about it, about everything, I realize. Yeah.
No, it's so good.
I don't have a time now to play absolutely nothing. Like only game what
No.
I'm playing is No Man's Sky still, and Elden Ring. But when you don't give a time to Elden Ring, it's very hard to play it.
Yeah, it was a bit too hard for me. I'm a easy mode gamer, really.
Yeah, that's why the No Man's Sky is perfect. Turn it
Yeah,
on the TV
it's-
and just.
and I set myself because Tales from Unsolved DX had quite a tight deadline. It's like, right, I'm not going to play a single computer game till this is done. But when I finished it, I'm going to treat myself to Spider-Man 2 because I like a Spider-Man game. So I think I need to do this now. Just no games until I've finished this. Really. You changed your studio name recently.
Oh yeah, I decided to change it to Game-Brewery. Why? Because I'm making games and I like beer, so it kind of fits together.
You're not brewing your own beer as well.
Yeah, no, I used to a long time ago. Now I'm doing cider here in north of the Spain is very very popular cider, so I'm doing cider. But I decided that I need some change and like some kind of direction with all my social media and branding and everything. So I decided to do this, and I'm still not finished. Kind of, I don't know where to go now. My Instagram looks horrible, I think, because it doesn't have any direction, you know. So I am now lost a little bit.
I think these videos seem like a really good idea. I watched the first one with Robert and I really enjoyed that because you don't often get to hear other developers speak. So providing people don't switch off after listening to me talk, do you think you'll do some more of these with other developers? Or?
Yeah, I would like to do with the like retro game developers and generally, for example, people who collecting the retro consoles and stuff. But it's surprisingly hard to find someone and talk with him from any reasons. Like I don't have a time, they don't have a time, or
yeah, well, it took us a little while to do this, didn't it? I know I took a while to kind of give you a date and
yeah, or they are on the other side of the planet, like literally on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, luckily we just have an hour's difference, so it's not bad, is it?
So thank you for having time for me.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's been nice to kind of chat to you. Look forward to more of these videos. Good luck with finishing the game.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the Fall from Space to be released. Are you planning to release it? You said with the Sam, you are waiting for someone to write you, and if not,
well,
what?
I've spoken a bit with publishers, but there's no point in me doing anything until I get further to completion, because you know how things could go wrong. There could be some weird GB Studio bug. So yeah, I definitely want to do a physical version. I think that'll be through a publisher most likely, but if that didn't happen, I'd flashcards myself. I want to get this kind of as a physical release as well as digital. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so it's very far in future.
Yeah, we'll see. Later on this year, I'll know more what's happening with that, but just getting my head down and working on it at the moment. So.
Very good. So maybe for Christmas, we're gonna have a Fall from
Space.
Yeah,
maybe that'd be nice. I'd be happy if it was.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, good to speak to you.
Have a nice day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.